Hello and welcome to the classic Hollywood movie you should know. This week the movie is from 1948, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, starring the comedy duo of Bud Abbott and Lou Costello, Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney Jr., and Glenn Strange, directed by Charles Barton. Now just quickly, Bud Abbott and Lou Costello, the comedy duo of Abbott and Costello, were one of the most successful comedy duos in all of history. From 1940 up until 1956, they were a team. They worked in movies, radio, TV. Their sort of heyday was during like the World War II era, but they were just massively popular. They're in 36 movies. The plots are generally a little weak. It's sort of an excuse just to plug these two comedians in there and for them to create hijinks. And this one from 1948, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, does have a bit of a weak plot. It's just these monsters, it's just these crazy situations for Abbott and Costello to do funny and silly things. Now what makes this movie work is the cast. It's the actors that Universal Pictures got to play the monsters. They got the actual guys. Bela Lugosi rose to fame in 1931 playing Count Dracula. He did play other vampires. He was sort of typecast as this, European villain, vampire kind of guy, but he had never played Count Dracula in any sort of sequel up until this film. So the second time he plays Count Dracula is in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Lon Chaney Jr. did the Wolfman in 1941, which was a huge hit. So to have him playing the Wolfman again is another casting coup. And then Glenn Strange had taken over the role of Frankenstein's monster from Boris Karloff. Karloff didn't want to do it anymore. He had some back issues, so he had problems with like the makeup and the prosthetics and whatnot. Glenn Strange had already played Frankenstein's monster twice. These were the actors, who were these monsters, who played these monsters. And their performances, it never slips into parody. It's never like these monsters are kind of silly or funny because it is this ridiculous comedy. The actors, Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney Jr., and Glenn Strange, they play these characters straight. And it's almost like there's a dignity to the monsters they perform. And so like, the horror mixed with the comedy, it works so well in this movie, and all of that is due to Bela Lugosi, Glenn Strange, and Lon Chaney Jr. Abbott and Costello are really great in this movie. They're known mainly today for their routine of Who's on First, which is clever. There's some clever wordplay, but it's been so overdone. Their first movie was in 1940, and by 1942, they were voted the most popular movie stars in all of America. The World War II years were huge for Abbott and Costello. They made some really great films. But then after the war ended, they're kind of doing the same shtick, and their careers kind of stagnated and plateaued. So by 1947, the year before Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, they were voted the 16th most popular movie stars in all of America. That's a huge drop from 1942 in just 5 years. But they changed it up by adding this element, by adding these monsters. It just rocketed them back to the forefront. 1948, they're voted the 3rd most popular movie stars in all of America, and it's based on this movie. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein was a massive hit. It was budgeted at $800,000. It grossed over $2.2 million, and it put Bud Abbott and Lou Costello back at the forefront. It gave like their career a shot in the arm, and they continued to make movies until 1956 when the team did split. But this is the one. Even though they made 36 films, Meet Frankenstein, and then if you're looking for others, Hold That Ghost and Who Done It are the 3 Abbott and Costello movies to check out. And a little bit of trivia for you. If you are a fan of the Grateful Dead and have watched the Amazon documentary Long Strange Trip, they show a clip of Jerry Garcia. It's in 1995. It's relatively soon before he passed away. He did an interview for the AMC show, The Movie That Changed My Life. His pick, the movie that changed Jerry Garcia's life, was Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. So if you're a fan of comedies, if you like those old monster movies as well, the old Universal monster movies, give a watch to Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. It's so cool to see these actors, Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney Jr., Glenn Strange, in this silly comedy. I think you can find it on Peacock, I think is where I watched it. But it's really well done, it's super fun, and it is this week's classic Hollywood movie you should know. I'm Nate Washburn. Keep watching.